Hello again, it's Jess or JashiiCorrin, and today we're going to be setting up for week 35 in my bullet journal, which is August 27th through to the 2nd of September. But before we get into that, I figured we'd just have a look at how this week was going. So as you'll remember from my last weekly plan with me, for this week I went for a box for each weekday with the weekend combined, a to-do list on the side here, and then a small section for notes up the top. I also made sure to include my regular school timetable and then an events list up here. To be honest, I'm finding at the moment I'm really not using my journal too much at all because I've been really busy with schoolwork. In particular, marking all of the assessments that my seniors have been doing as part of their exam week. Because the majority of next week still falls within August, I've decided to keep this same theme that I've been using for all of my weeklies in August for the week coming. Before we get into it, as per usual, any of the equipment I use in today's setup will be linked in the description box below. I'd like to take a moment just to apologise for not putting a video up this Sunday. I was intending to do one comparing the LT1917 and the Scribbles That Matter journals, since I've now been in my STM for almost 2 months. But because I spent all day marking exam papers on Saturday, by the time we got to Sunday I really just needed to take a break. To somewhat remedy this, however, I thought I could give you guys a mini breakdown of some of my general thoughts I have about the two notebooks while we go through this time lapse. I figured that by this point in the month, if you've been keeping up with my other weekly plan with me videos, this one is really just more of the same. If you hadn't seen my last ones though, there's a link to last week's plan with me in the cards above, which talks through the equipment I'm using here. So first things first, I'm totally in love with my Scribbles That Matter journal. I love that the pages are thicker than the like tones, which means I get significantly less ghosting. And I also love that the pages are whiter but still that kind of cream colour. I'm not sure about other people, but I personally always find that stark white paper is almost kind of glary, so having that tinge of creaminess to the paper is something I actually quite like, but I do prefer the subtler cream of the Scribbles That Matter. The LT and the STM are actually quite comparable in a lot of ways. For instance, they both have 3 pre-set up index or contents pages, however the STM also comes with a key page in the front and a pen test page in the back. This does mean that the first dotted page of the STM is a double page spread, whereas the LT just has the right hand page. This honestly kind of threw me off when I went to start my new journal. Having been so used to the LT1917, I was expecting to have a single page for a splash page, but given that it opened up to a full page spread right away, I just went straight in with my future log. In terms of size, we have 249 dotted pages in the LT versus only 201 in the STM. However, the STM is actually slightly thicker overall, due in part to having a thicker cover. For each page in both journals, you have 26 boxes across, and then in the vertical direction we have 36 down for the LT and 37 for the STM. While only a slight difference, it is something that probably has to be considered when you have to set up spreads that have particular measurements. Something interesting that I've also noticed about my Scribbles That Matter is the way that it takes my Tombow dual brush pens. I don't think this is actually the case, but it almost seems like the paper of the STM somewhat sucks the ink out of my markers compared to the Leuchtturm. This isn't so much of an issue, but it has taken some getting used to. This is also likely why I've had to be a little bit more careful with bleed through in my journal. Although I haven't had a major bleed through disaster yet, I can see one happening if I'm not careful. Watercolour paints and watercolour effects with my Tombow dual brush markers is something I quite enjoyed doing in my LT, and I haven't gotten around to doing it in my Scribbles That Matter yet, but it is something I'd like to try in the not too distant future. I know that other people have said that the Scribbles That Matter holds up to the watercolour quite well, but I personally can't comment on that yet. Alrighty, and that's where we're going to leave it for today. So as you can see, instead of having daily boxes for this coming week, I've decided just to make a series of to-do list boxes. So I have 2 here for just general tasks that I need to get done, and then a box here which is for tasks that are more specifically on a time limit. I have my regular events box, notes box, and then my mini timetable at the top here, and then a box down here to record some of my thoughts when I finish off filling in this weekly spread. I know I've really enjoyed using this style of weekly throughout August, and I figured it would be good to record some of those thoughts in my journal. Thank you for watching. If you have any thoughts, comments or feels, please do leave them in the comment section below. And if you liked today's video, please do make sure to give it a big thumbs up. If you haven't already, you can subscribe to my channel to see the videos I release every Thursday and Sunday. And until next time, bye!